Hello and welcome to the Friday, January 10th, 2025 edition of the SANS and Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and I'm recording from Jacksonville, Florida. Well, in diaries today, we have diary by one of our undergraduate interns, Cody Hales. Cody is writing about an infection with Redtail. Redtail is crypto miner at its core, has some interesting traits. For example, all the parts of the crypto miner are copied to the system via SCP. This kind of makes sense because the initial access is via SSH and a weak username and password. Then the attacker is just uploading additional files. Many other tools are using curl, wget, or such to download files from malicious sites. Of course, the advantage of the upload is the attacker doesn't have to set up a web server to offer the malicious files. And also, it may be a little more stealthy because everything runs over the encrypted SSH connection, which typically isn't proxied or such like HTTP, or HTTPS even, which is then often analyzed and may be able to be used to spot any malicious downloads like this. Interesting approach. What kind of reminded me of some of the early days here at SANS and Storm Center was the password being used here, NIMDA. I'm not sure if anybody remembers the NIMDA worm, of course, 2001-ish, when I sort of just about started here at SANS. I guess today it's still remembered, at least in a form of weak passwords. One of the highlights, if that's the right word, of the December patch Tuesday was a bug in Microsoft's implementation of LDAP CVE 2024-49112. This vulnerability potentially allows for remote code execution, LDAP being behind Active Directory, of course, a highly critical system here when it comes to Microsoft. And we have seen some proof of concept implementations that at least implement a denial of service, causing the LDAP service to crash. Since then, there have been a number of fake exploits that claim to be remote code execution exploits for this vulnerability. Trend Micro points out that they analyzed a couple of them. I've mentioned this multiple times before. If you're looking at any potential exploit, treat them as what they often are, malicious. Whether or not they're malicious for whoever you're intending to attack or for whoever is running them, that's often the big question. So don't run them on any kind of a system with real data on it. Run them in an isolated lab. And yes, definitely be careful out there when you're picking up some random exploit off random GitHub page or wherever you may find it. Well, earlier this week, I talked about how malicious Google Chrome extensions are being used to steal data from users. Of course, nothing really new. The big question is always, why are users installing these malicious extensions? We may have some insight into this from Vladimir Paland. Vladimir Paland is author of some ad blocker Chrome extensions, so definitely one of the good guys. And Vladimir figured out that one trick these extensions are using is that they are adding their competitors' names to the extension description in less used languages, like, for example, Swahili. If you're posting an extension to the Google Chrome store, you add description to the extension. That description may be added in various languages. Now, when Google is looking for keywords in order to rank these extensions or display them as part of a search result, well, they're actually using keywords across all the different languages that you use to describe your extension. So if you're looking, let's say, for good extension, they have, I think here, Norton ad blocker or something like this as a potential search keyword, then you will see the legitimate extension, but directly underneath, you'll see additional extensions that use this particular brand name as part of the description in any language. The trick of using a less Used language is, if you're now looking at the extension, you're not going to see all these spammy keywords, but a more legitimate looking extension description in your language. English, German, French, Spanish, whatever. Those frequently used languages look normal and legitimate, while only some fairly less used languages are then displaying all of these spammy keywords. Interesting trick, and certainly this can lead then to malicious extensions being shown on the same page directly underneath the extension that a user was actually searching for. And Vladimir has some nice examples here as part of a blog post. Well, in vulnerabilities that you should be aware of before the weekend, we have one here in Palo Alto. This affects the Palo Alto Network's Expedition tool. This is a migration tool, so nothing that you would use all the time, but it does suffer from a SQL injection vulnerability that does require authentication. Also a cross-site scripting vulnerability. An interesting vulnerability here that allows for arbitrary code, for arbitrary file deletion. That can often be exploited to issues like, for example, authentication bypass and such. If you're able to delete some authentication related files, here it only has a CVSS score of 2.7. This may be a bit low, but apply the patch if you have to. Again, this is just the migration tool, not the actual firewall that's vulnerable here. Well, and that's it for today. So thanks again for listening. Thanks for all the feedback I got so far regarding the new format. And just to keep this going a little bit, an incentive, if you are sending feedback, well, I'll gladly send you a sticker in return. So if you want a sticker, please let me know and I'll give you a claim code so you can actually then ask for the sticker and send me your address that way. Other than that, I hope you all have a good weekend and talk to you again on Monday. Bye.